So I bought this iPhone 6 to find out exactly what was the experience that I was missing from my Android experience. Why does this thing cost $800 when Android devices cost $600? Well, the short answer, nothing. Missing nothing at all. But the long answer, well, that's a little bit more detailed. And if you're an iPhone lover, then you might want to just click away right now, because I'm going into it. See, I purchased this device with the intent of using it for just 1 month, and then that quickly became, alright, well, you know what, let's just do this for 1 week. And then after about 5 days, I was like, you know what, that's enough. I've seen everything iPhone has to offer. Without jailbreaks, this thing is worthless. But now, the iPhone 6 isn't all bad. There are a few things I really like about it. Fingerprint sensor authentication. I can log into my device with nothing but my fingerprint. And the iOS 8.0.2 update is now available for your iPhone. Yeah, we're not going to take that. But now the cool thing is, what you can do with the YouTube app, this update does not close itself. Another cool thing is that the YouTube app, you can update it by just sliding downwards. Now I guess that would be more of a Google development thing, but still, it's a plus for the iPhone. I can access all my Google Play movies directly from my iPhone, and it's my entire catalog, including movies I've just rented. So, you know, I mean, there is that kind of integration there with a lot of different services that I already use. Alright, so as you can see, my iPhone here is at 39% battery. We're going to try out the new Apple Wave technology. And as you can see, we're now at 50% battery. Aside from that, this device, it costs more than just about any Android device out there. It costs about $800, and I mean, for $800 you can expect a refined user experience without any sort of compromise. But this device is full of compromise. Now, let's start off with talking about the alarm clock on this device. If you go into the alarm clock app on an iPhone, you can find out that there is no way to independently control the alarms on it. So if you start up any alarm at all, you see there's no volume control there. So if you turn down the volume, say you're playing a game late at night in bed, you turn down the volume, you have to remember to turn it back up and put the phone on silent so you're not getting notifications all night. You have to remember to turn the volume back up, otherwise it will not notify you in the morning. The alarm volume, there's no separate alarm volume on this device. That's a problem. That's a big problem. I mean, do you know of any iPhone users who use their phone to wake up in the morning? That's an emergency device in this case, because you can't depend on the volume always being there and available to wake you up. But it's not just the alarm app, the email app sucks as well. If you want to read email in the email app, you have to actually wait for each one to download as you go through it. You can't just swipe left and right. There's buttons up at the top here that let you get to the next email, but swiping left and right, no. But if you're down here using the controls as intended, you have to move your hand up to the entire top of the screen in order to get to the next email. Now, that isn't so bad as having to wait for the emails to download for each email, because I get like 200 emails a day, and spending about twice as long waiting for it to download when I'm on 3G than actually reading it is a pretty enormous amount of time spent waiting on the iPhone. Now, it doesn't just make you wait, there's also locking you out. If you put in the wrong PIN number on the phone a few times, you can lock out the phone. My son did this to me, and it locked me out for about 20 minutes. So what is going on with these overpriced cables? I mean, seriously, like, why is this cable $30? Why is this cable $30 or $40 sometimes? I mean, it's cool that it plugs in both ways and everything, but Apple cables are always ridiculously expensive. You know, I just purchased a set of cables like this one from China for about $20, and I have 15 of them. On the iPhone, every single browser that you use to surf the internet is Safari. There is no getting around Safari. Everything is Safari. If you use Chrome, you're using Safari. That's because everything is built around the iPhone WebKit app. And basically their WebKit, you don't get any choice. WebKit on the iPhone, I've found it to be pretty darn wonky. There is a page that I created called chat.casualdev.com, and I found that sometimes it processes sound on WebKit and sometimes it doesn't. And that may just be why iPhone beats all those JavaScript benchmarks because it decides whether or not it's going to do it. Okay, seriously, who the heck thought it was a good idea to have the home button down at the bottom and the back button at the top of the device? So if you're using it, you've got your controls all over the screen. Now, they do have this thing here where you can triple tap the home button. Like, you just barely touch it a little bit and it will triple tap, and it brings up this giant black bar on the screen which pushes the rest of the screen down. And you know, that's kind of a wonky workaround there. I mean, if they just put a back button down at the bottom of the screen, it just seems like it would work so much better. Now, while we're on the topic of wonky UI work, let's talk about the home button itself. Now, this home button, there is a operator's manual that goes along with it, and it ain't easy. Seriously, how do Apple users call this easy? I mean, really. Finally, they screwed up the size of the screen. Now, for an optimum user experience, you would have to take in ergonomics. Well, here's a 4.7-inch screen. You can reach all corners of the 4.7-inch screen. But now, if you add the home button down here, that's a little bit more than 4.7 inches. In fact, I would say that's about 5.1 inches, 5.2 inches or so. Now, that is a problem there because, I mean, like, you have to reposition your hand just to get to the home button. And, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, that's not a big deal or anything, but for $800, it should be a perfect user experience. I didn't want a phablet when I got my device. I wanted a phone. And a phone is defined as being under 5 inches. Well, with that home button there, you have your controls all over the place, spread out over 5 inches. You know what the worst thing is about the iPhone, though? It just hinders you in every single freaking way it can. It's annoying. I mean, like, everything. Background sync operations don't actually sync the data to the application. It syncs it to the notifications. So once you get your notification that something's there, that's ready to be downloaded. When you pull down the notification tray, you got this stupid little animation. The data's already there. It's ready to be displayed, but it makes you wait for a half a second while it does its stupid little animation there, so that you can't read the thing because it's bouncing all over the screen. I mean, you know, it's one thing to have a transition animation, but after the transition's done, stop transitioning. Don't just obscure the data. And here's the final thing that I'd like to leave you with. The notification system is horrible. Look at that. You see that right there? This is a notification from myself, and as you can see, it is just the standard Gmail notification, but it blocks so much of the screen you can't even use the settings button. You can't use the back button here at the top of the screen when you get a notification. I mean, notifications are supposed to be there to let you know something's going on, not block you from doing anything. What the heck was the idea here? And then on top of that, the notifications that you get here in the notifications tray are just so darn big, you only get like 4 of them on a single screen. Then you have to slide down. And then at the top, the tap targets are too dang small. Look at that. You see that right there? That is a big thing right there. If you can't actually hit the tap targets have... Let me start over. Ergonomics, alright? You size things appropriately to be used with your fingers. That is not sized appropriately. So that's about all for this episode. I'm really kind of upset about this purchase. It costs a lot of money, but you know what? We're going to find out if the jailbreak actually does anything for it. Once the jailbreak's released, maybe it might have some redeeming qualities. Who knows? That's all for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Add me to your circles on Google+. You can go to plus.adamoutler.com. And until next time, don't buy an iPhone. Well, you're still around. If you're still around, that can only mean one of 2 things. Either you want more, or you're crafting a long-winded response to let me know how much of a piece of junk I am. Well, let me remind you of something, fanboys. Since this is closed source and we can't do anything, this is the most productive way we can get something done. You should be thanking me. And for those who want more, lightning round, give us a way to unlock the device once it's been locked out, because it's really annoying to try to use a device that's been locked out for 20 minutes. Show the pre- and the post-market stock tickers on the stock app. You know, this is great and all that somebody decided, hey, maybe Apple users might be smart enough to use stocks, but pre- and post-market are also very important. How about some faster reactions to button presses? How about fixing the podcast app? The very first time I opened this thing, it crashed out on me. I couldn't use it. How about a default document viewer? You know, I had to install all these apps myself, and you can't do anything without these apps right here as far as business goes. You can't view documents, edit them, anything. How about some customization of the Today menu? This right here, weather and calendar, it's useless to me, and it just blocks my view of the stocks. How about giving us a way to clear notifications? Because that sucker right there, that is the update for iOS 8.0.2, and I'm not taking it. It's going to stay there for a long time. How about the scroll thing on Apple devices? Maybe I already talked about it, but this is hindering. You can only go so far. If you've already read half the page, you don't want to scroll down to the other half. Seriously, these are some software problems, and there's some serious software problems. This is the reason why Opal Wally here gets to ride my iPhone 5S here. You know, done with the software though, let's talk a little bit about the hardware and wrap this thing up. Fix the handheld position of these speakers. You see these speakers right here? Perfect for blocking when you're trying to make a video call. And by the way, you should have a single design team working on this device. The internals are all mismatched together. It's obvious that one guy thought he was being the hero, while another guy thought he was being the same. It's a gigantic cluster of nastiness in here. There's like 30 screws. There only needs to be 10. I'm Adam Outler for XDA TV. Oh, one more thing. If you're going to lock developers out of using their own web engines, you should make sure that yours never, ever, ever does this. Man, I can't believe I made it through that whole entire video without mentioning Bengate or the botched firmware update.